So I found it interesting in sort of going back through some of the things that you have talked about publicly
Mm,
about the framing of how founders think about equity and the position you take around it. A lot of people think about equity budgets as just comp and what percentage of the company should ultimately belong to employees. And I've seen you mention that's sort of an incomplete framing, and I'm curious to how you think about it and how you advise founders to think about their equity.
no, for sure. I guess the way I like to think of it is, you know, with a concept of like a timeline or life cycle. Because as businesses grow, things change as well. And I think if you're early stage founder and building the business, I think your goal is not to, for the business to go out of business in a year or two. You want to stay for the long term and see how that progresses. So I think it's important to consider where equity evolves in growth stages, later stages, pre-IPO, and even public markets as well. That potentially could be the end goal. Compensation evolves. And I think equity compensation, the compensation part is quite key because you need to think holistically about like what does it actually mean. So why do people even join the company, right? You need to start the entire like life cycle from recruiting people. Why would they want to come work for you? They believe the vision, you have a good team as well, but you also want to be compensated. And when you think about compensation early stage startups, right, there's a couple elements, right? And equity is usually a big part of it because early stage startups, you want to raise your pre-seed, you don't want to spend it all on salary immediately, right? You still have, you need resources to build that. So I think a lot of people and organizations should think about it holistically. There's a concept for those of you in the kind of HR or compensation benefits community called total reward. So when you think about HR professionals, look at compensation as part of the big picture. You have the salary, you have benefits, you have 401k, you have everything else to think about. The culture and everything comes into play. So I think it's important to kind of consider the big picture. And yeah, definitely, I'm sure we're going to talk about the specific numbers and percentages and how to frame it. But I think it's important for every founder to ask themselves is what's important to you? What's important to your business? And your equity compensation framework should be a reflection of that. It should be the answer to that question.